Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this live edition of No Credentials Required, where you don't need a press pass to talk sports. We're presented by Belly Up Sports in association with Godzilla Media. Before I continue, and again, my name is Ryan McCarthy. I'm the host of No Credentials Required. Before we continue, just want to remind you about our social media channels on Twitter and Instagram, and now TikTok. We're at NoCredsREQ, Facebook.com/NoCredsREQ, and on YouTube. Search No Credentials Required, hit subscribe, hit notification, and that way you know when the videos are up. And if you're on YouTube, watching on either Facebook Live, YouTube Live, or BillyUp.tv, welcome. If you're on Facebook or YouTube, you can leave a comment during the show, whether our comments, whether you agree with our comments, whether you believe our comments are intelligent or they're not. I make no guarantees as to which or which. You can leave a comment, say hi, do whatever. And on the podcast side, on the audio side, subscribe to the podcast. Our home base is Spreaker, but you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon, basically wherever you podcast. And also rate and review. 5 stars is very optimal. That way people know that we're out there. And if you leave a review, I might even read it on the air. So it's really cool if you would do that. Before I bring up my panel, I just want to remind you about one of our affiliates here. I know Credentials Required. That's InTheClutch.com. InTheClutch.com has officially licensed MLBPA and MLSPA apparel for player apparel. You could also get t-shirts for your favorite team, and you can also get really cool vintage apparel. So go to InTheClutch.com. You can either go to InTheClutch.com/NoCreds, or if you just go to the main website, InTheClutch.com, enter promo code NoCreds at checkout, you can save 10% on your order. So save some cash, support the show, get yourself some nice swag. All right, I'm going to bring in my panel. I think it's going to be a pretty rowdy panel today, but for Saturday morning. But hey, you be the judge. So to my right, I've got from Belly Up Sports our New England Patriots beat writer Kaleb McChesney. Kaleb, how are we doing today, buddy?
We're doing well, thank you. This should be fun.
And to the south of me is our intern, one of our interns for the summer for Belly Up Sports. He's actually my intern for No Credentials Required. He's doing a great job so far. He's the one who convinced us to join TikTok. We got Mason. Mason, how are you doing today, God?
Pretty good.
All right. We're all very enthusiastic for Saturday morning. And to my lower right, we've got from Tailgate on the Quad, and also sometimes on the Corner Booth podcast, we've got Kev. Kev, good morning.
Good morning. I got out of bed for this. You're welcome.
Right.
I was about to say, thank you all for joining me. I know sometimes it's difficult to get out of bed on a Saturday morning, but I want to start off with a clip from last night in the College World Series. College World Series going on. Very exciting time if you're a college baseball fan, but I just want to show you this clip, and we'll kind of I guess we'll just kind of glean over it and talk about this play period. So let's go ahead and show it.
Corona, a high fly to center. Does he see it? It's in the twilight, and he has no idea where the ball is, and it lands on the warning track, goes to the fence. This might be an inside the park grand slam. Corona's coming for the plate. Here comes the throw, and he's in standing up. A twilight time inside the park grand slam. Humphreys never saw it in center field in the twilight.
It's a helpless feeling.
Okay, so I apologize. That wasn't Oral Roberts University. It was DBU. I don't know who they are, but guys,
it's defensive back university.
Defensive back. Apparently, it's defensive back university because they saw the ball fly by him while he was searching for the ball. Guys,
It was an overthrow, you know.
It was an overthrow. But Kev, I know you played baseball in high school. I believe, if I remember correctly, you played baseball in high school, or you played baseball growing
since
up.
like 3rd grade.
Okay, but for any of us who've played baseball before, do you see this happen often?
Not at all. I actually feel so bad for that center fielder.
Okay, interesting.
Like, it's Dallas Baptist University. No one's ever heard of that school. That's his moment to shine, and he loses it in the lights. You just got to feel for the guy.
I've only, truth be told, I've only seen this type of thing once, where a center fielder loses it in the lights. It was during a single A baseball game in my municipality of Troy, which is in Albany, New York area. I went to a Tri-City Valley Cats game way back in the day. Well, not way back in the day, but a couple of years ago. And fly ball hit, and it's easy to lose it in the lights. I mean, if you're playing, if you're seeing a tiny white ball trying to find it in the lights, it's pretty difficult to see. So yeah, I definitely feel bad for the guy, but this is a very rare event where you see an inside the park grand slam. Kaleb, have you ever seen this kind of thing before?
Not in real life. No, I've had it happen to me in MLB The Show a handful of times. By some of the slowest players I've ever seen, just because it's the first time I pick up the game, and Pablo Sandoval just goes inside the park on me because I don't know how to throw the ball. But yeah, no, certainly not in my time of watching baseball. But I would tend to. I have seen the ball get lost in the sun and the lights before, watching the Red Sox, but nothing that would cause something like that. Usually, I think outfielders try to get behind the ball. Like you might as well be better to just overshoot it and have it land in front of you, than just stand still and watch it go over your head by about 10 feet.
All right, Mason, how about you? Have you ever seen this before?
No, I don't know what you say as a manager to your team after this happens. Like, you still have to play the rest of the game. What do you even say to them?
That's a good question. That's a great question. I mean, it's the College World Series. I think it's in the regional to double elimination. So you've got, and obviously they lost this game. Dallas Baptist lost this game, but you've got another game to survive. You got another game to stay in the regional. So, I mean, in one retrospect, it sucks. You feel bad for that center fielder, but also you've got one more game to stay in the College World Series. You get one more game to be in the regional. So it's kind of a 50-50 win-lose situation. But for the guy who's up to bat, how do you feel after that? Besides tired from running all the way around the bases,
I feel like he'd feel like kind of a goalie does in soccer when they're trying to clear the ball and the wind takes it and it goes in the other net. Goalies generally feel bad about that. They're like, it's nice to score and make a good play, but not like this. I know what that guy's going through. I feel bad for that now. I don't feel good about what I just did. I feel like it's a little bit of that. Like I made contact. He just lost it. I am glad that we scored and we won, but I feel bad for the guy.
Yeah.
No, you take wins where you can get them.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah, that's why you're happy about the win and scoring the run and hitting a grand slam, but a little bit of you's like, ah, man, come on, bud.
All right. So we got a little bit of that, I guess you would say, I'm going to say comedy, but you got a little bit of that out of the way. Oh, we got our first comment from Beth of Let's Talk Woe Hockey, one of our podcasts on Belly Up Sports. She says, hello. Hello back. Hello. La, la, la. Thanks, Beth, for checking in. Appreciate you. All right. So we're going to move on to the first topic of our hour of the show. And yesterday we had our first manager firing in Major League Baseball. It took only 2 months for the Phillies to fire Joe Girardi. I don't know if you guys been paying attention to the baseball world, but it's our first firing, and I'm honestly kind of surprised. But Kaleb, if you're a Boston, I can see you're a Boston Red Sox fan from your cap. You're a
Yep.
Boston dude. What do you make of this firing?
So with my baseball fandom, I don't tend to get out of my my little Red Sox AL East realm. But what I can tell you about Joe Girardi is when he was with the Yankees, most Yankees fans hated him. So this doesn't really come to a shock to me. from like baseball is not my first sport by any means, but
True. You are the beat writer for the Patriots.
No, right,
yeah.
But seeing how the Phillies have struggled so far, I think they're 6 games under 500.
I'm gonna say
I think they're 21.
I think they won last night, so I think they're 7.
6 or 7 games under 500. And again, I'm not speaking from a high horse here. The Red Sox, I think, are 3 games under last I checked. But no, this doesn't really shock me at all. But the Phillies, they're not really making the most out of their time with Bryce Harper, given they have another 12, 13 years to go after that. 10 years to go after that big deal he signed when I was a junior in high school. But nope, you only get so many quality years out of a player like Bryce Harper, and so far it doesn't look like this is going to be the year where they make the most of it. But hey, there's still a whole lot of baseball left.
Yeah.
It's the reason why I still have faith the Red Sox might be a tad competitive down the stretch. But yeah, no, I'm not overtly shocked by this.
I mean, in my humble opinion, I think Girardi. I'm a Yankees fan. Be honest with you. Yeah, when Girardi was manager, there were times where I wondered why he made the decisions he makes. But as a Yankee fan, we're doing the same thing with Aaron Boone now.
Yep.
With the exception of this season he's been, with the exception of the first month of the season where he had to shorten starters, but every major league baseball manager was doing that. They're shortening starts because of the truncated spring training that they had due to the CBA discussion. So, I mean, in a way, it's surprising, but also I wonder, doesn't Dave Dombrowski also share some of the blame because he's the one who's constructing this team?
Oh,
he's
absolutely.
He's the one who brought in Harper. He's the one who brought in Real Muto. He's the one who's bringing some of these big time. I'm going to pay a whole bunch of money to be a part of the Phillies, but I mean, is it locker room culture? Is it Dombrowski? I mean, what?
The Dombrowski MO is, hey, we're gonna sell off the entire farm and we're gonna bring a title to the Phillies within a couple of years, and then
F them kids.
Right? Yeah, no, screw those prospects. We're gonna bring in all the talent that we can for now, and we're gonna win a title in 2, 3, 4 years, and then afterwards, I'm gone. Like that he's a mercenary, really.
Yeah, Kev, I see you have a thought here. Go ahead.
This is not on Dombrowski whatsoever. When the Phillies brought him in, they knew that. They knew that's what he does. He's done it twice now in Boston and Detroit. Trade for established stars, spend a shit ton of money. There's my one swear that I was allowed.
There you go.
I think it's on strictly the players and Joe Girardi. I mean, you have the 4th highest payroll in baseball. Why do you have the same record as the Orioles with the 30th highest payroll? It's on Dombrowski, it's on the players and Joe Girardi. And I also think Joe Girardi should still be in New York. I think them letting him go was a dumb decision for basically the same results.
True. Mason, you got some thoughts on this?
They're in a bad division. They should be doing much better than they are. I saw Joe Girardi at a USF baseball game, so maybe he wants to be the manager of the USF baseball team. Hopefully.
Hey, look, I mean, I don't think Girardi's a bad manager. I think part of it is, I mean, yeah, they're in a bad division, obviously. I mean, the Mets are running away with the division right now, and Atlanta is 1 game below 500, which is absolutely shocking, considering they won the World Series last year. I thought they were going to have. I mean, yeah, they lost Freddie Freeman,
but you bring in Matt Olson. That's like.
But you bring in Matt Olson, and it's not the equivalent of Frederick. It's not the same. It's not the same, but still, Matt Olson can smash, and he can play decent defense at first base.
Yeah, no, Matt Olson is not a bum in comparison by any means.
No, but that division, some teams are desperate for it. When you get desperate, you have to make those changes, and I think the Phillies are a desperate team. They're a desperate team right now. You got all that talent for all that money, and you're sitting in third place at 23-29 currently, and you've won your last 2 games, but you're still 11 games behind the Mets for first place in the division. So, in my mind, I'm just saying that both the manager and the GM in this should be responsible, but also the players got to look themselves in the mirror too, because they could find themselves in the trading block as well. I mean, if they keep up, Harper's not going to be traded, obviously, because of the money that he's commanding. But the players got to wonder I wonder if it's true for all teams, because hockey teams, I'm a hockey guy. When hockey teams, you see coaches get fired, and all of a sudden they just go on a run.
Yeah, no. My Bruins were the victim of one of those.
But I gotta wonder if the Phillies can go on a run. I don't know if it's the same in baseball, if they can duplicate that, where they go on a tear. All of a sudden the pitching's better, both starting and bullpen pitching is better, hitting's better.
As a Mets fan, I hope not.
I get it there. All right, we got another comment here from Beth, who says it seems to be a bit of a tough go for all Philly sports these days. I would say with the exception of the Eagles, it's a bit of a tough go. The Flyers were bad this season. The Sixers had a good run up into the conference semifinals, where they ran into the Heat and were extinguished in 6 games. And then the Phillies are the Phillies right now. The Eagles, I think they could be the NFC East champs.
Well, any team in that division could be the NFC East champs.
With the exception of the Giants, but then again, you could definitely.
I think I like the Giants more than the football team, but it's kind of a push. Not the football team, the Commanders.
You mean the commies?
Oh yeah. No, I love the Commanders this year.
Really?
Really? They have a really good defense still. Ron Rivera is a good coach still. I think Carson Wentz, I don't like Carson Wentz as a quarterback. I think he has turnover issues, not just interceptions, fumbles. He's not the same player he was when he was in Philly doing his thing. But I think he can be consistent enough behind a decent offensive line. They're not great, but they're good. They have good weapons, and Antonio Gibson's a good running back. I think they have a very good chance to actually win this division. I think top to bottom, they might be the best team in that division.
I think the Commanders make the playoffs this year.
For me, it's if Dallas screws up, it's open season for that division.
Dallas.
They're bound to screw up.
Dallas screws
Their
up.
defense is still terrible. Also, I think Dallas is very overhyped because a lot of people are remembering when they had that stacked offensive line a couple years ago when Zeke was the offensive player of the year, but Dak was rookie of the year. And that make sense. I'm still confused by it, but they're not the same team anymore. That offensive line is decimated. They have no linebackers besides Leighton Vander Esch and Micah Parsons now. Their secondary is kind of a joke still. And
even with Diggs,
Diggs is not a good corner. I'm sorry. He's not. He's a ball hawk. He's great at getting interceptions. He cannot play the cornerback position. I think per PFF, he had the most yards given up in coverage last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oof.
No, he'll take you back for 6, but he'll also give up 6. So
he's a wash every game.
No, I remember he took a pick 6 back on Mac Jones, and then Mac Jones the next series throws a bomb up to Bourne, and he blows the coverage, and it's a touchdown.
He's exciting to watch, but the best corners aren't exciting. You don't want to watch Darrelle Revis because they don't even throw the ball his way when he played.
Right.
Yep.
And hopefully they'll duplicate that with Sauce Gardner but that's neither here nor there. But it's funny.
And then Sauce Gardner will go to New England and win a Super Bowl. So I like that.
Don't say that. Don't say that.
I agree, Kev. I agree 100%.
All right, full disclosure, we've got 2 Jets fans and 2 Pats fans on this panel, so that's why you're hearing the smack talk. But I don't know. Anyway, we're moving on to Game 2 of the NBA Finals. I believe it's tonight.
I thought it was Sunday.
Or is it Sunday?
It's Sunday.
Man, the NBA Finals schedule is confusing.
I think it's 2 rest days in between every game.
Yep. Like so it's tomorrow night at 8. Anyway, but we've got 2 Celtics guys in the chat. Kaleb and I don't know, Mason, if you want chime in too. Game 1, what a turnaround! What a turnaround!
Yeah, I watched the first half because I was working, so I watched it on my phone, and then I missed like basically the entire second half. So I missed the fantastic fourth quarter that the Celtics had, and I wouldn't consider myself a Celtics guy. I'm from Boston, but like I don't watch basketball I watch basketball, but like I don't follow the team that much.
My mistake. I apologize, but still,
it's a solid assumption because
yeah.
I was gonna wear a Celtics hat, but it wasn't gonna go with my blue sweatshirt. But no, yeah, the Celtics have kind of had like this destiny run. I feel like this postseason where it's just it just kind of seems to go right for them at the right time, despite having some really weird like games where you're like, this isn't the same team that I saw last night,
Mm-hmm.
But no, yeah, I feel like Celtics fans should be confident in this squad because they took out the Nets in 4, and they were. I don't think a lot of people didn't have the Celtics in that series from the jump, and then they took on the defending champs in 7, and then Miami, which was it was Jimmy Butler versus the world, but they extinguished that in 7. The Warriors are still a good team, but they're by no means a super team that they were back when I was in high school.
Right.
No, Celtics fans should be really confident in this squad. So long as Marcus Smart isn't just chucking up threes because he thinks he can make them.
I have a love-hate relationship with how Marcus Smart plays basketball.
Yeah.
He won Defensive Player of the Year. He's a great defender. That's what he does. That's his bread and butter. It's why he's an everyday starter. He thinks because he won Defensive Player of the Year, he's the best offensive player on the planet for some reason.
No, he always seems like to think that he's like the best player on the court at all times.
He wants to be the guy. And it's reaching the point where it's surprising where he passes out of a 3. But also, he's left open on threes a lot because they're like, oh, it's Marcus Smart. He doesn't hit these really. Right. So I get when he's shooting wide open threes, but I hate when he's just gets a ball, catch and shoot, guy in his face. Like, no, you're not that guy.
You're not Tatum. Stop
it. Just stop it. But at the same time, if he's hitting them and they win, that you can't really complain.
No, right.
I don't like the Celtics to win this series. I don't think Derek White's going to give you 21 points every game. Obviously, Jason Tatum had a bad game, but that's going to make up for what Derek White did. And I'm saying Warriors in 6.
I mean, Derek White's not here to give you 21 points. He's here to play defense. That's really what he's brought in to do.
21 points.
Oh, no, I know. Like, that was a nice surprise for when Tatum had a bad game, but I don't think that's the expectation. He had, I think, like 8 straight points to start a game against the Heat. He'll score in bunches for you at times, but you don't expect that to keep up consistently. I think no one is planning for that to happen again. Ime is not like, all right, Derek, you're taking every shot. You're gonna lead us to this win. No, I mean, the Celtics all year since they've gone on this run has really just been defensive focused. You let Brown and Tatum kind of do the thing on offense, but you have Robert Williams, Al Horford, Derek White off the bench. You have Marcus Smart. You just want to play good defense and then just outscore the other team. They're not trying to bury you. And I think they can do that against the Warriors because Draymond Green is not the guy he was. He never was that guy, but when Steph and Clay were dominating the league and then Kevin Durant, like Draymond was kind of forgotten so he could do whatever he wanted.
Yeah, I kind of forgot that Draymond was like still playing until the series.
Draymond's a future Hall of Famer.
Yeah, he is because he's a future Hall of Famer in the same way that guys like JoJo White and Thatch Sanders are. He won a bunch of rings because of really good players. If you put him on another team and have him be the number one guy, no, he can't do anything.
I mean, you could say
he thinks he is.
Rodman. You put Dennis Rodman as a number one option, he's not going to win a championship because he's not a scorer.
Thinks he is. Also, Dennis Rodman. Thank you. Prove my point again. If Dennis Rodman wasn't on those Bulls teams, he's not a Hall of Famer. If he doesn't have Pippen and Jordan, he's not a Hall of Famer.
Greatest
you just
rebounder
have
of
them-
all time.
But he could also argue for the Pistons too. If he's not on a team with Isaiah Thomas and Bill Laimbeer or Joe Dumars, he's not a Hall of Famer either. I think it would have been a Hall of Famer even without being on the Bulls.
Yes, and also you say though, greatest rebounder. People are acting like Draymond was like a top 3 power forward at one point in time of all time.
He was.
He was never a
What?
top 3 all.
No, not
power
all
forward.
time, but in the league, he was an all-star.
Oh, in the
I
league,
would
I'll
say
give you
for
that,
this
but-
generation of players. For this generation of
if
players,
you-
he absolutely is top 3
if you
to
wanna
top 5.
argue that from like 2016 to 2019 during their run of dominance, he was a top 3 power forward. Yes. Now, not so much, but he's also older. The whole team's older. I'm not knocking that against. But no, people are like, well, who would you take? Like Kevin Garnett or Draymond Green? I might have to go
Kevin
Draymond.
Garnett.
He can shoot the 3.
I would take
Which-
Kevin Garnett in a heartbeat.
Anyone with a
I think I'd go
brain
Garnett.
But you got to admit, Draymond's the best passer and defender on the Warriors. All of those championships.
Passer.
He's a phenomenal passer.
Oh, no, it's not. He's a bad passer. I think Steph's also a bit of an underrated passer because
he
of his
is.
ability to read the
Well,
defense.
yeah.
And he's the point guard, so he has more opportunities to do it. But yeah, defender, no, that's not even a question. He's clearly the best defender on that team still.
You're just proving the point that we value scoring over everything else.
Yes.
Yeah, you do have to score points to win the game.
Yes.
I mean,
But no, it's also
Yeah,
like
no, in a John Madden sense, the team with the most points will win the game.
the team with the most points at the end of the game wins. Boom.
it's more my take on
Rest in
Draymond
peace,
is
John
more a reaction to other people's takes on Draymond, not necessarily who he is as a player. Like I hate people overvaluing him, saying he's a top 3 power forward all time. He's this really good scorer. He could be the number 1 option on other teams, which I've also seen.
No,
It's
because
absurd.
that one year that Steph and Clay were out, he played horrendous. He was not scoring at all.
Yeah, because when you don't have 2 of the best 3-point shooters of all time taking away attention, you can't do as much if you're not that good of an offensive weapon. Also, I think Draymond's just a dirty player. So
I think to be a good defender, you have to be dirty because people call Marcus Smart a dirty defender too. If you think about all of like the top 10 defenders in the league, they're all considered dirty players.
Draymond took it to another level.
I'm
Marcus
a casual
Smart
basketball fan, so I
Doesn't
can't-
kick people in the
I can't
nuts.
dive in too much.
A couple years ago, Draymond got knocked down on a screen, waited on the ground until Marcus Smart was coming up behind him, and then just dove at his knees.
Yeah,
And didn't get called for it, by the way.
but as a Celtics fan, you got to admit Marcus Smart makes some dirty plays.
Yeah, yes. But also, there are plays that seem dirty but are just playing defense. Like Giannis goes up for a high pass, Marcus Smart's right under him because that's what you have to do to defend Giannis. And Smart comes down, or Giannis comes down. Yeah, he might land on his feet, but you're not going to give Giannis 3 feet because he'll just blow past you because he doesn't get called for an offensive foul ever. He's running, he's hitting the paint like Derrick Henry, and they're like, no, it's fine. Then like Tatum looks at a guy wrong on the offensive side of the ball. Oh, offensive foul charge. It's ridiculous.
It depends on if it's in Boston or not. Because if it's in Boston, they're getting all the calls.
No. In the Bucks series, Giannis still didn't get that many, didn't get called a lot on offense because they just let him play his style of basketball.
Giannis is just so hard to call because everything's just so close.
It's really not. Giannis will drive to the paint, throw his shoulder into a guy, and then lay it down. That's an offensive foul.
But I mean, if you don't have your feet set and if you're hand checking, it's going to be a defensive foul. And it's impossible to stay in front of Giannis.
Yes. Like if it's outside and if it's like outside the paint, top of the key, whatever, yeah, then that's tough to call, tough to play. But if you have a guy standing hands up in the paint and Giannis just barrels into him, that should be a call. They don't call him for that. Because, hot take, Giannis is not a skilled basketball player. He's bigger and stronger than him.
My God.
I've heard this argument too. I have. And I don't hate it.
Take that
What
serious.
can he do? What plays have you seen that show he's a skilled player that does not strictly rely on his size and athleticism? Can't shoot. He's not a great dribbler.
He can't shoot. He's a great mid-range shooter.
He's not a great mid-range shooter. I will give you he's
above
competent
average,
mid-range
for
shooter.
sure.
I would say he's competent, but 3, no way. He has not faded out. Mid-range
And he's
still
not a good
though.
three-point shooter. I'll give you that. But
Mid-range though.
You're-
Also, you're not like, oh, it's a bucket with Giannis. No, he might make it.
and he's a good passer, good ball handler, great defensive instincts. You're telling me that doesn't take skill?
I don't think
I
he's
wish
a
I
good
had a
ball
bucket
handler.
of popcorn
I think
right
he's
now.
I think he's a good ball
Right.
handler. I don't think
Me
he's
and Ryan are
great.
sitting back here like, oh, we don't gotta do
Take over,
anything.
guys.
His ball handling
he's the
skills
best.
come from the fact he's more athletic.
Best 6'11" ball handler we've ever seen.
Okay, that's because guess what? We haven't seen any 6'11" ball handlers. If you want to go above 6'7", he's
Kevin
not the
Durant.
best. Nowhere near the best.
No, Magic Johnson was the best above 6'7" ball handler.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you want to go above 6'7", he's nowhere near. Kevin Durant is like 6'10", 6'9".
I think
Listed
a lot of
6'9".
Kevin Durant.
I mean, part of this discussion has to do with recency bias too. I mean, Mason, I understand where you're coming from. Kev, I know where you're coming from. Kayla and I were just sitting in the background, just going, "Yeah, we're here." but I mean, for me growing up, it was. I mean, I'm an old guy, so Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Basketball Jesus, Michael Jordan. In a way, Isaiah Thomas, he's part of the discussion for the earlys, mid 90s, early to 90s, early ladies to mid to late 90s, and then I kind of stopped paying attention after that. But I mean, I know who some basketball. I mean, I have to pay attention to sports, so I kind of have to know some of these basketball players. But that debate we could have all day. But I think part of it we're kind of like as one of my favorite morning guys, Snowman in the Morning, says, we're kind of a prisoner of the moment, in terms of players. So we've got some more comments from Beth. We've got a popcorn emoji, and we've got BB BB with the Kermit the Frog.
That's none of my business, right?
None of my business. No, but you both make very solid, very salient points about who's being the best basketball player, the best basketball players and whatnot. But I want to focus on Game 2 of the NBA Finals because that's coming up tomorrow night, not tonight like I thought it would be, but tomorrow night. I know it's very important to, if you're the visiting team, you got to steal at least one game at your opponent's home. Do you see some of the same stuff in Game 2 as we saw in Game 1, or is this going to be kind of a situation where the Warriors might actually blow the Celtics out of the building this time around?
Ooh.
In Game 2.
So
that's happened before. This is
what annoyed me about the Celtics Heat series. It just seemed like they were both content about just letting it go to 7 and seeing what happens. Like, oh hey, we stole one on the road. We'll kick back and relax Game 2, or the other way around. But yeah, I can't imagine the Warriors drop 2 at home. Like, you have to defend home court somewhat, because if they go down 0-2 and then the 2 games in Boston, they're in trouble. They're in some really deep trouble if they can't just. They're already in trouble for losing on home court. Right. But if you get swept on home court in the first 2, you're in trouble. You're in huge trouble. So I can't imagine the Warriors don't do everything they can to win this game.
Right. I feel like they would have to avoid the letdown they had in the fourth quarter of Game 1 in order to stay. Well, not only just win Game 2, but also stay in this series. Because if you go down 2-0, which we'll get to for the Stanley Cup Conference Finals in just a moment or two, but if you go down 0-2, that's a tough hole to climb out of in any sport. In any playoff scenario, whether it be basketball, hockey, or baseball. Not so much football because it's a one and done football.
Right.
But yeah, if you go in a 0-2 hole, that's a tough hill to climb.
It's not going to be a blow. I think the Warriors will win it. I think this team is too experienced. They're still too skilled. They're a really good team. Mm-hmm. I don't like the fact that they're treated as underdogs, by the way. Some people are like, oh, no, like the Warriors are the underdogs in this.
No.
ESPN tried to run with that story for a minute. It was annoying. But it's not going to be a blowout, though. The Celtics, I think the biggest loss the Celtics have taken to the Warriors since Steve Kerr got there was 15 points. But other than that, the Warriors are 7-9 against the Celtics since Kerr started. The Celtics have had the Warriors number, and that even includes that abysmal year before the Isaiah Thomas show started, where the Celtics were just terrible.
Oh, God, that's when I stopped paying attention to them.
I mean, it was a rebuild, though. We just traded 2 future Hall of Famers and Jason Terry. I don't know why I'm mentioning Jason Terry. He didn't contribute much. But yeah,
you got Marcus Smart out of the deal.
Right.
Yep. Smart. We got Tatum out of it. Brown.
Yep.
But I think the Warriors will win it, but I still think Celtics in. I'd go Celtics in 6.
I refuse to make a pick because every time I've picked anything in the NBA playoffs, I've lost. So I'm just kind of.
I've got a quick question. Is this a 2-3-2 scenario? 2-3-2, 2 in San Francisco, 2 in Boston, 3 in Boston, and 2 in San Francisco?
No, I think it's.
Or is it 2-2-1-1-1?
I think it's 2-2-1-1, like the rest of the
2-2-1-1-1.
They changed it recently.
Because hockey is 2-2-1-1-1.
Whatever it was like 5 years ago, now it's the other one.
So it's 2-2-1-1-1.
I'm looking it up right now.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how it's been the rest of like the Easter. That's been that since I've been following the Celtics. It's always been 2-2-1-1, but or whatever it was.
So it might be 2-3-2 now.
I always thought it was 2-3-2 for NBA.
No, I don't want to.
We got a comment from the. We got a comment from the Facebook section. Tristan McKinstry says Warriors in 5, just like the 04 Pistons. Ooh,
I wouldn't be surprised.
Saucy.
Whoa, wait, we're really going to compare this Warriors team to the 04 Pistons? Those are completely different.
Those are
teams.
different eras for sure.
Different eras, different teams. It's let's see. So that's.
But I mean, that's not surprising if that happens.
I'd be shocked if the Celtics.
I could see
if the Celtics lost 4 in a row.
I could see the Celtics winning another one.
I'd be shocked if this game doesn't
or 4
doesn't go to 6. I'd be floored.
I'm taking Warriors money line tonight though, or tomorrow for sure. You got it.
Not terrible.
I think that's the safest.
Not terrible bet.
Does anyone know what the spread is tomorrow?
Probably plus 1.5 for the Celtics.
That's a very good question. I'm going to look at my sports book right now.
Not that I could bet on it because Massachusetts is a joke.
No, right?
Wait, you can't gamble in Massachusetts.
You can't bet. You can't do sportsbook in Massachusetts.
No, they were working on it, and then.
Sorry, let me bring up Owen Wilson. Wow. Sorry, go ahead.
Celtics are 4.5 point dogs.
4. I've got 4. I got 4.
So,
the line.
I hate.
4?
Yeah, I hate whole number spreads. By the way, they're.
Well, that's what DraftKings has. I don't know what.
No, I know a lot of places do that, but yeah. So Massachusetts was trying to pass it. I think it got through the House, and then it was held up in the Senate because we can't bet on college sports. We don't want people paying these kids money to throw games because they're gonna fucking do that for some reason because college kids are idiots according to the Massachusetts.
There's your one
Senate.
F-bomb. There's your one F-bomb.
But Ryan, actually, you know I'm probably gonna make another one by accident. So
wait, haven't we surpassed PG-13 at this point? Wasn't that his second curse word?
That's okay. No, that's okay. It's farther into the movie. It's further into the movie, so you can do that.
Everyone forgot the first one. It was so long ago. But no, it's ridiculous. I'm hoping that it passes the Senate before Charlie Baker leaves office because I think he will sign that bill. I'm concerned if a Democrat wins, they will not sign it. Also, the fact you can't gamble in Florida is the most shocking thing about
sports bet.
That is the most anti-Florida thing I've ever seen.
I know. You can wrestle alligators, but you can't do sport. You can't bet in Florida.
You can sports bet in Florida. I sports bet in Florida.
Interesting. Because we could do sportsbook in New York. We just can't bet on New York universities. So we can't bet Syracuse.
I'd even be down for something like that because nobody watches college sports up here, and if you do, you're a maniac.
Hockey.
Yep.
No, wait, college sports aren't big in Massachusetts.
No, in the Northeast, not. In the Northeast is kind of hard because there's no like powerhouse universities for stuff like that outside of like college hockey, which is. I don't want to like be disrespectful, but it's kind of niche.
No, Kaleb is pronounced college hockey.
College
hockey.
I'm from the north side of like Massachusetts, and I grew up in New Hampshire. I don't have that.
That's inexcusable.
Also, basketball every couple of years, like college basketball, kind of pops off when BC or Providence is good or competitive.
UConn.
Well, yeah, UConn, but that's far away.
Like I don't like. I'm sorry. This is kind of like a semantic argument here, and it's not really talking about the NBA finals. We kind of gotten off track, but I don't consider Connecticut to really beat New England.
That's a hot take.
They're like New York's.
That's a super hot take. So it's funny though because we're talking about geography a couple weeks ago with myself, my Jim, another one of our interns, and my nephew Christian, he doesn't consider Virginia part of the South.
Ooh, that's a hot
And
take.
by the way, Beth, I'm not busting on college hockey. I love college hockey.
College
So,
hockey.
College hockey.
I think you could make an argument that West Virginia is not part of the South because of how that became a state. But
Virginia's
True.
definitely a part of the South.
yeah, Virginia's.
With the exception of Northern Virginia.
Yeah, Northern Virginia, I buy that.
That's all.
But Southern
Federal
Virginia is just as much of the South as rural Alabama. Also, Kaleb looks confused about my West Virginia reference.
Yeah, I am.
So
You don't know about West Virginia? How it
Virginia
became a state?
seceded. Virginia seceded from the Union. West Virginia was like, no, we're not doing that. And then West Virginia seceded from Virginia.
Oh.
So that's how they became a state. Also, I think east of Hartford, Connecticut is New England. West of Hartford, it's not. West of Hartford, it's New York.
If you breed Patriots,
it's very
Yankees
much the New
fans, you're
Jersey
not
argument,
New
too.
Englander.
It's
That's
very
fair.
much New Jersey argument too, because northern New Jersey is New York, is part of New York, and southern New Jersey is
Philly.
Philadelphia, basically.
Uh,
Philadelphia
I've-
adjacent.
The most infuriating argument I've ever heard. I think I've heard someone legitimately argue that Connecticut is not part of the New England region. I know what you're saying, Kaleb. Like culturally, it's different.
Yeah,
You know,
culturally,
someone's
I
like,
don't.
no,
I don't
it's
care about
not.
it.
And then I've also heard that New York is part of New England.
No, it's not.
Someone's
We're,
like, oh yeah,
we're
like
mid-Atlantic. We are
someone's like,
mid-Atlantic.
oh yeah, like the New England states, like Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, New York. I'm like, New York's not part of
No.
New England. Yes, it is. No, it's not. Well, how do you know? I'm from New
Name-wise,
England.
it is because it's named after the Duchess of York, but it's not.
Even
not
culturally,
part of New
it's
England.
that take.
No.
It's such a different culture. Like we're more like hickish in the woods and outside of Boston, of course. New York is just so much more modernized. I feel like.
No, it depends on where you go. It depends
outside
on
of
where
the
you
city,
go.
no.
It depends on where you go, because New York is split up into like 8 different sections. You got the city, Long Island, then you got the Mid-Hudson Valley, then you get the Catskills, my region, which is the capital region, Adirondacks, Leatherstocking Country, the Southern Tier, Central New York, which is basically Syracuse and Utica and all that around that, and then Western New York, which is Rochester and Buffalo, where they say pop instead of soda. And I will
Ew.
say
Outside of
it's
that,
soda.
if you drop someone like 2 hours outside of Buffalo, I don't think you could tell the difference between that and like Hopkinton.
Canada.
Well, I was
I'm
gonna
just
say
so over the Northeast. I hate this like small town boony living. I'm so over it. I can't wait to leave.
Where are you gonna go?
Southwest, I think is my favorite. Is my destination, like Phoenix, Arizona, or
It is a
Houston,
dry heat, they say.
or yeah,
Except
just-
Houston. Houston's muggy like the rest of the South.
yeah. I can't stand snow, and I don't like seasons. So
Yeah,
right,
same.
so
That's why I went
so-
to Alabama.
So on Facebook, Tristan says, I'm not even from the East Coast, but New York, quote, New York is part of New England, end quote, is a weird take to me, LOL.
I
It
have
is.
been a firm proponent since I went to college that the South is not as backwards as people think it is. The education system's
concur.
not as terrible as people think it is. And then they pull out that shit. It's infuriating. The South's a weird place.
But
yeah,
Beth also says, and she's arguing with all of us now, Beth is Virginia is very, very southern. I think she said she grew up in Norfolk, the Norfolk region, if
Yep.
I'm not mistaken. And she said Richmond was the capital of the Confederacy. Yes, that is true. Richmond was
Also,
the capital of the Confederation.
I hate Virginia so much.
Another hot take from Beth. Most of the South isn't awful. Yes, agreed. Most of this
And
the
most
South
of the
is not
cities
awful.
and urban areas aren't awful. The backwoods are still. I counted once how many. I was driving like an hour or 2 hours north of Tuscaloosa. I counted how many Confederate flags I saw. I think I stopped at like 20.
problematic.
Yeah, but no. So Virginia's the worst because if you're driving to somewhere that's not in Virginia, that's South Virginia, from the Northeast, you're making good time because those states are small. You're in like southern New Jersey, like 4 or 5 hours in from where I am. And then you fly through Maryland, and then you hit Virginia. You're like, oh, sweet, we're making great time. We're going to get there early. Then you're in Virginia for 8 hours.
Wait, which highway are you taking? Are you taking Route 1 or are you taking 95?
95 for the most part.
That's why. Because you're hit when you hit the Beltway from Baltimore to DC. That part's awful because it's just traffic upon traffic upon traffic.
Well, We sometimes like
which is why I
bounce
take
off.
Route 1 down in North. Which is why I take Route 1 when I go to my trips to Outer Banks.
We would get off 95 for sometimes around New York, but also around the Baltimore, D.C. area to avoid all that. But then hitting Virginia is just the worst.
And again, that's why I take Route 1 from Albany down to Outer Banks. I take Route 1. Like, I get to cross my favorite bridge tunnel, the Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel, which is pretty awesome. 23 miles. You go over the Atlantic and you go over the Chesapeake Bay and you go under the Chesapeake Bay for a bit and you go over, then you go under, then you go over, then you go under. It's pretty cool.
No, I would be paranoid. I'm scarred from the stories about the Big Dig where with ceiling tiles collapsing on cars, it leaking. I couldn't do that. I would be paranoid. I would be going into the bay.
So in other words, you should probably knock yourself out when we're going, if you ever go down the CBBT.
Yeah, probably.
Mason, have you ever been outside of Florida?
Yeah, so my parents are from New York, so I've been to New York.
Oh, okay.
Times. Yeah.
Oh, what part?
They're from Long Island.
Yep. That's one of the parts of New York. There we go. Speaking of New York, we're gonna touch quickly on the Stanley Cup Conference Finals. I don't know if, other than myself, I don't know if you guys have been paying attention so far. The conference finals, Kaleb, Colorado, and the Rangers are both up 2-0 in their respective series.
I'm shocked by the Rangers being up 2-0.
As am I.
Floored.
And I hate it. I hate it too because I'm a New Jersey Devils fan. So
I'm pulling for the Rangers though. Like I'm like get Tampa out of here. I can't stand them. Like I do not want to see a three-peat, and just get them out. I'll pull for a New York team. Honestly, I will swallow the pill, and I will let New York win the whole thing so long as Tampa doesn't get a three-peat.
No, I have money on Edmonton to win the Stanley Cup because they have a cancer kid mascot. So I got $30 on them and I went $570. So
I'd be cool with McDavid winning one.
Me too.
That'd be amazing. I'm for Colorado winning one. I think they're a fun team to watch. But just
for me it's anyone but the Rangers.
That's me with Tampa. Just anybody but Tampa. Just get them out. I'm sick of them.
I cannot, in good conscience, root for Edmonton to win anything.
Really?
Yeah, I do not want to see Evander Kane have any success. Any success, whatsoever.
Yeah.
I'm hoping for a Colorado Rangers Stanley Cup.
It's a win for me right now because I go to school in Tampa, so I root for the Lightning, and then I'm also a Rangers fan. So if either team wins, I'm happy.
Your parents were from Long Island. You sort of root for the Rangers, isn't that blasphemy?
Yeah, so
that is really.
Actually, my dad was a Rangers fan before the Islanders were even a team, so he just stuck with the Rangers.
Okay, that's
acceptable. Fair. That's acceptable. But do you guys think these will be a series again? Or are we going to see 4 or 5 games from each of these series?
I think Tampa has to come back. Tampa has to come back.
Yeah.
Kev, you get that look on your face.
I don't know. I think Tampa's too skilled to come back, but I also think Tampa's had it too good for too long. Unless they have some guys coming off the long-term IR that they manipulate so they don't have to pay. They don't have to listen to the salary cap. I don't see them coming back and winning this series.
I hope you're right.
Yeah, the circumvention of the salary cap is a fun talk about with the it's a fun way for you to get an edge on the other teams because you don't have to worry about it in the playoffs as much as the regular season.
Like, I think the long-term IR salary cap exemption is a good thing. I think it makes sense. I think because it allows if one of your good players goes down, you can try to get someone, still remain competitive. The problem is when a guy can come back like the last couple weeks of the regular season and he's 100% healthy, like, no, you're still on long-term IR. Oh, playoffs started. You're back. Come on. I think that's when you run into issues.
Yeah.
Yeah. In a way.
I would agree not knowing too much about the topic.
All right, so Beth says screw Evander Kane. She also says Kev, you have a new fan. You're Beth's new favorite human being.
Sweet.
Yeah. And she also says the The Lightning didn't do that this year. The only long-term IR player they had was Brent Seabrook, and I think he retired, if I'm not mistaken. See, this is a weird thing with the NHL. Players will retire, but they'll still have their salaries. They still have the salaries attached to like dead cap money, and they'll trade it away. Like the Red Wings did that with Pavel Datsyuk. Like they traded his rights to Phoenix or Arizona, knowing that he wasn't going to come back. He's going to stay in Russia.
Arizona just do that? Because the Bruins did that with Mark Savard in Arizona.
Arizona is the elephant's graveyard of salary cap dumps.
There's a cap floor, isn't there?
There is a cap floor.
Okay, that's why. Arizona's like, we're not paying anybody. We don't want to be competitive. That's too much work. So we're just going to get all these players who can never play again and pay them their salaries.
We're declaring we're a poverty franchise. We'll pay salaries, but we don't want you to play.
You know, we don't even want our own stadium. We'll go play at like a college rink or something.
That can't even hold.
Oh wait, they did. They are.
Maintaining a stadium, that's too much work.
And they're not getting their logo either.
That's my favorite
ASU part. Logo is going to be on the ice all the time because they
need to relocate that team. I'm all for Arizona sports. It's like my second home. I want to cheer for them.
To be fair, nobody watches Letterkenny? God. All right.
Nope.
No, I like Letterkenny.
Well, I say to be fair, you got to reply to be fair. But anyway,
I got your Seinfeld reference with hello, but
hello,
that was
But they keep saying that they have the new owner supposedly has deep pockets. And thank you, Beth. To be fair, the new owner supposedly has deep pockets, but they've gone through 4 ownership groups in the 25 years they've been in Arizona. So eventually you're going to have something long-term or else relocate them. To me, they should relocate them to Houston because Fertitta has super deep pockets and they have an arena already ready. Plus, it would make perfect sense because they'd have a natural rivalry with the Dallas Stars.
I agree with your logic.
Also, Houston's a pretty big city.
Yeah, it is.
Yes, number 4 media market in the country.
Yeah,
they could use a hockey team. They'd be down for it, I think.
Oh, absolutely.
I just hate Bettman's need to bring hockey to the South. Like, yeah, Nashville's done very well. Their fans are very supportive, but Atlanta sucked. Phoenix is a disaster every year.
Phoenix is Bettman's white whale.
Meanwhile, you have traditional markets without teams. You don't have a team in Quebec. I know Montreal, but the Nordiques was a very popular franchise at a point. Took them away. Hartford, their fans were passionate, but that's a tiny market. I understand why the Whalers left. It's ridiculous. Is Bettman in the Hockey Hall of Fame, by the way?
No.
I thought he was. Thought they put him in for some reason. He's going to be, but I don't.
And true, Beth, Atlanta did have ownership issues from the start because they were part of that. What's called the Spirit of Atlanta, where it was the Hawks and the Thrashers in the same ownership group. And for some reason, the Thrashers ownership group, the Thrashers side couldn't get their ish together, and that's why they had to relocate to Winnipeg.
Which is perfect. Winnipeg needs a team more than Atlanta does.
I'm interested to see how the Fenway ownership group does with the Penguins moving forward, because I know that was a recent purchase.
Boston gets 2 teams.
Oh my gosh, no! But Pittsburgh built them a new arena over the last decade, so I think they're good. I think they're okay there.
Well, no, just to see
it replaced the Igloo.
I'm just interested to see just how how Fenway operates and just what kind of presence that they have, like what kind of like signature touch do they have on hockey, because obviously they're successful in baseball with the Red Sox, and they've been successful with Liverpool in soccer.
I'm surprised they didn't buy out Jeremy Jacobs. I'm very shocked.
They should have.
Here's how it's going to go with the Penguins and Fenway Sports Group. They're going to win a cup, trade away all their good players, suck for a year, keep tickets prices as high as they possibly can be, and everything else in that stadium wicked expensive. Then they're going to get a bunch of guys, win another cup, trade them all away.
The Red Sox simulator. Yeah.
Wait a couple years, win another cup, then trade all the good players. Meanwhile, ticket prices every year are going up because they're winning regularly, but in between, they're not winning anything.
They're going to be on like a 4 to 5 year rotation of Stanley Cup wins.
Yeah, pretty much. And I love complaining about that, but honestly, you can't really.
No.
4 cups in like 20 years. It's pretty good.
It's just a
decent.
funny thing to watch. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
it's
decent.
infuriating sometimes.
All right, guys, we got a little less than 5 minutes left in our broadcast, so I want to give you a moment of catharsis. I don't know if you've prepared a statement that you want to say for 1 to 2 minutes about a specific topic or a specific event that happened. Kaleb, actually, Mason, I'm going to start with you. I'll give you. Actually, well, Mason hasn't said a lot this podcast, so I'll give him a chance.
Make Kaleb go first based on his reaction.
All right, so I'm gonna give you guys. Let's see. I'll give you a minute and a half. I got time. I'm gonna have a timer start. You guys can go ahead and say your piece about a topic and go.
So it's a generalized topic. I want to talk about Boston sports fans, but I want to talk about one of my buddies really briefly. His name's Jeff, and he's a Celtics fan. And so we were watching a game in the regular season. There was like 5 minutes left of the fourth quarter. The Celtics up were like 30. And he was like, oh, no, you can't turn it off. I have to see how this ends. And I've seen like a theme with Boston sports fans, how they're just like the worst. They're just terrible, honestly. That's my take. He's like the type of guy to watch a game and then like cut it and like make clips out of it, because he's like, oh, the clips that ESPN releases don't really do Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown's chemistry justice. And all Boston sports fans are like that.
All right, 45
Kev,
seconds.
I don't know if you're with me on this or not, but that was kind of a. I feel
Yeah,
like
I think Jeff's just a weirdo.
Like
I know. I also think Jeff's just a weirdo.
really?
Yeah,
Well, I mean, cutting up the clips like that is weird.
Yeah,
but like
that's
finishing
weird
the
behavior.
games, even if they're blowouts, I do it with the Patriots.
Oh, I do the same thing. It's also partially
No.
because
If
we
it's
saw
the Jets, if it's the Jets, I turn on Goon or I turn on something that makes me happy.
Yeah, that's because the Jets are usually the ones getting blown out by 30.
That's why.
But that's also because we saw the Patriots come back from 25 down. When everyone counted out. So like that's kind of I think where part of that attitude comes from. Like, well, anything can happen.
Boston's market is just different. I think.
Irad, don't turn the game off.
There's nothing to do here outside of just be diehard for your sports team. Like New England isn't really that eventful like that. Like
there's beaches in history.
Yeah, lame.
And a rock. We have a rock. What other states can say that?
I've been to the Rock. It's
no, I
overrated.
agree. Boston
I've never
fans are
been.
typically horrible, but just not for the reasons that you're saying.
Yeah.
Anyway, Kaleb, you got a minute and a half. Go right ahead.
Oh Jesus. So I feel like yeah, okay. Oh wow, big screen. There's been a whole lot of talk recently. I'm a Patriots fan, a Patriots writer. That Belichick he's lost it. There's no real. He's lost his touch on the roster. He's lost his touch on football. He fails to adapt, and we're talking about this in May and June. I wrote a piece about this last week. That if Patriots fans should still have belief and trust in good old Coach Belichick, and I ultimately said, without spoiling too much, I said, yeah, he hasn't led you this wrong yet. I think we've made some really solid additions on offense in the last couple of years. The last couple of years of drafts have been really solid. I'm not saying the Patriots are going to be world beaters. I don't think they'll be, a shoe-in for the playoffs. I don't think they're going to have the 7-game win streak that they had last year, but I think it's just too early to call it, and there's room for optimism, I think. Not that, we're not going to be crazy, but I just wouldn't call it over for the Patriots yet like I would for the Jets.
Wow. Shots fired.
And I don't say that genuinely. I think the Jets have done some amazing things this offseason.
Okay.
That's what
you just saved yourself. you just saved yourself for a repeat appearance on No Credentials Required. Okay. I'm just kidding. Kev, you got a minute and a half, my friend. Have you already used your one F-bomb? So
The show's over, so you can boot me because I'll do my best, but no promises.
all right. I'll give you a minute and a half. Go right ahead.
Jimbo Fisher needs to go away. Oh my Lord. Yeah, look, Nick Saban called you out and mentioned Texas A&M by name. I understand you're upset. However, you're going to call a 10-minute press conference. First you say, we didn't cheat. No one said you cheated, dude. No one. Yeah, you bought your recruiting class. That's perfectly legal now because the NCAA hasn't done anything. And then he's going to say, I'm done talking about it. Jimbo, you called a 10-minute press conference to talk about this. What do you mean you're done talking about it? You're the one who escalated this whole thing. You bought the number one recruiting class. You spent Texas A&M's money because they have deep pockets. Fine. Nobody really has that big an issue with it. Yeah, Saban's kind of annoyed. But whenever he says, do we want college football to be this? That's a warning, not a whining. He's going to do the same thing. And he's going to do it better than you. But it's ridiculous. You bought the number one recruiting class. Congrats. You're going to go 8-4 this year, and everyone's going to transfer. I don't know why you think you're this great coach. You got one national championship with 12 NFL draft picks on that roster and a Heisman winner. You're not that good of a coach. You have the same record as Sumlin did, your predecessor, through as many seasons and the same number of bowl wins. Jimbo Fisher's an overrated coach. He thinks he's the hot shit in the streets. He's not. He sucks. Go follow Juice Kiffin. It's Lane Kiffin's dog on Twitter, and it's great. It calms me down all the time. I have it open right next to me to make sure I don't drop an F-bomb.
Nicely done. Because you just got it right before the minute and a half ended.
Yeah. No,
all right, guys. Yeah, right. All right, y'all. We're going to end things on No Credentials Required. I'm going to give you a moment to shout out your accounts. Where can we follow you? Where can we find your work? Kaleb, I'm going to have you start. Where can we find you?
All right, so obviously you have my my Twitter right over here. You can follow my work at Belly Up Sports. You can follow my Facebook page, Foxborough Beat, covering everything Patriots. And I've got some other cool things in the vault coming up pretty soon, so just make sure you stay tuned to that.
All right, Mason, he's one of our Belly Up summer interns. He's our intern for No Credentials Required. Mason, where can we find you?
Nameless Mason on Twitter. I don't really have anything else, but do follow No Creds REQ on TikTok because I will be posting new clips on there today.
Yep, there you go. And last but not least, Kev, where can we find you?
At Belly Up Kev on Twitter and Instagram, and at Quad Tailgate, also on Twitter and Instagram. Tailgate and the Quad on Facebook. We're coming out with new episodes for the upcoming college football season. In July is when we're going to start back up once a week doing conference previews, and then we'll just be hitting the ground running for the season.
Can't wait. All right, y'all. Thanks for watching. If you watched, thanks for watching. If you're listening, thanks for listening. You've been on No Credentials Required. My name is Ryan McCarthy. I've been the host, and thanks for joining us on No Credentials Required, where you don't need a press pass to talk sports. We'll talk to you again next time.